There's a lot to love about the Pixel Watch even some months after release, including the default watch faces that Google has designed. However, thanks to the Play Store and developers out there are hundreds that you can install and customize to suit your own style. And here's a short list of some of our favourite watch faces for the Google Pixel Watch. Thanks for watching 9to5Google here on YouTube. Remember to thumbs up, hit subscribe and then tap the bell icon to be among the first to watch our upcoming videos. So before we really dive in, I want to say we've refrained from suggesting applications like Facer, which collate watch faces and make them available from a one-stop shop. While we think it's a fine app in terms of sheer volume, we have to say the quality and consistency of your watch faces from those kind of applications can be a little bit mixed. To help out, we've separated our list into different types of watch face for the Pixel Watch, at least the ones we've tested. The default selection includes any alternatives that should be usable for any Wear OS watch out there and do come pre-installed on the Pixel Watch. Traditional faces are classic dials that you'll associate with mechanical watches. There's digital for modern number-based UIs that many of you out there are probably accustomed to. And finally, minimal for simple time and data viewing. And you'll find timestamps for them down in the description below. So if you want to navigate this video, be sure to use the chapters option. So as for the default watch faces, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I think that's how the saying goes, and that's certainly true of many of the default Pixel Watch face selections, as there's a solid set of options right out of the box, and that's something that can't always be said about Wear OS wearables in general. Not all are perfect, but we do have a few of our own favourites, and I have to say, I'm personally of the opinion that Google has straight up used the Resonance Type 3 as a reference design for the concentric watch face, and to be honest, I'm absolutely fine with that, as I think this is the signature Pixel watch face and one that you should definitely try out if you haven't. It's not necessarily information dense, but I think it genuinely looks sublime as each section turns independently and it just has a real futuristic look. I have to say this style of design simply wouldn't work on square screens. You can add up to 3 complications with this, however I will say this changes the look quite drastically for the worse as far as I'm concerned. You can try this on other Wear OS watches, as there is actually an unofficial version available for free down on the Play Store, and you can find that down in the description below. I'd say probably the closest default watch face to that of the Pixel lock screen that you can use with the Pixel Watch is the index design. It's admittedly basic, but it definitely feels like more of an extension of that large double line clock that the Pixel uses on the always on display. That's flanked by up to 4 complications, which I think are very reminiscent of unread notification icons again on the Pixel lock screen. Sadly though, there doesn't appear to be an equivalent available for Wear OS devices on the Play Store as yet, but we will update this video description if we do find one. I think this is one you should definitely try out if you have the option or you haven't done so with your Pixel Watch. So heading into the traditional section, you'll often associate classic or traditional watch faces with mechanical watches, or I would say the type of watch your dad or grandparents might have worn. These come in various styles, but you'll get at least a minute hand and an hour hand. That's seemingly how I would define it. In a lot of cases, a second hand is sometimes thrown in here too. And I have to say, some of our traditional watch faces or favourites for the Pixel Watch might be new to you. So expanding upon the default shapes face, this third-party option with the exact same name is arguably better in just about every single way. For starters, it lets you replicate the Pixel Watch on any Wear OS wearable. Then, on top of that, you have the option to combine up to 6 index styles with even more colour combinations than Google's own iteration. Although that said, there is a lot of colour options over on Google's Spaces design. While I will say it is a third-party alternative, it feels like a more complete one at that, and one that you should definitely try out. High-density watch faces don't always work on smartwatches, as it is pretty hard to replicate the internal depth of a mechanical watch. And I will say this tactical style watch face is one of the few that manages to look great on digital displays and still retain a ton of on-screen information without getting too much. While it does have a more military style, the colour options mean that you can tone this down without actually sacrificing a data-rich element. Watchbase has done a great design job on the tactical watch face, and it's definitely one that you should try out if you haven't done so already. So now we're into our digital watch face section, and as far as clocks go, this does away with this circular style that is more synonymous with most clocks out there. Instead, it's just numerical digits rather than hands on a dial. Most modern timepieces do use a digital dial of some sort, and a lot of smartphones you'll be used to telling the time using this digital format, but we think you might want to try these on your Pixel Watch, and here's a few of our favourites. If you're a fan of all things Pixel and you love Material U, then we want to point you towards this watch face, also seemingly named Digital Material U. It looks like the bubbly rounded widgets that you probably already used on your Pixel home screen. The difference here is that it's actually scaled down to fit a smartwatch screen. There are 3 customizable complications that come bundled in and include a battery level indicator that actually mimics the volume slider in Android 13, which we think is a really nice touch. For anyone all in on Material U, I have to say this is a really great watch face to tie your watch with your smartphone. So we have to say the Pixel Minimal watch face may be labelled as minimal, but this Pixel-like option is far from it in our opinion, at least compared to some that we'll have later on in this video. Inspired by the Pixel series, it has long been available for Wear OS, but it's still one of the closest to Google's own at-a-glance widgets for smartwatches, something we'd really love to see more of on the Pixel Watch on Wear OS in general. It is really just a copy of the lock screen on a Google Pixel with that at-a-glance widget prominent alongside customizable complications that fit with the Material U aesthetic. It is a classic digital watch face for any Wear OS wearable, but most at home alongside a Pixel running Android 12 or higher, at least in our opinion. As for our minimal selection, this includes simple, abstract, or those kind of watch faces that lack any distractions, and this is probably one of the best ways to describe what a minimal watch face should be. There are thousands of designs sold on such a promise. Heck, we'd even call the Pixel Watch minimal by its very design. So if you do like that style, then some of our favourites such as Outer Rim might be one to take a look at. And although this watch face itself fits into a couple of our other categories, it is by its very definition stark and minimal. There's a basic digital time in the upper portion of the display when this is applied, with a single 2-tone circle that just indicates hours and minutes. A white line indicates the minutes passed, so for example 3/4 for 45 minutes, while an overlapping colour line indicates the hours passed. You can actually start to build up a less sleek finish with 4 complication slots. It's something that we wouldn't suggest. In its default state though, it's effortlessly simple and a really great option to try out. Chronos is one of those watch faces that's so minimal it actually barely counts as a watch face, and in its default setup it consists of a macro look at the time. It's actually hard to decipher at first glance just what's going on, but it makes sense when it's used for a little while. Basically, the minute hand takes up all of the screen and rotates with a dash of colour. The hour dials are zoomed in, which is completely unique, at least from watch faces that we've tested. You can only actually see 1 complication at a time, which makes this incredibly basic, and it's one that you should definitely test out for yourself if you want something that's a little bit different than anything else out there. That said, it is very, very minimal in its execution. So that's a few of our favourites, and of course we noted at the start of this video there are potentially thousands of watch face combinations that you can have with your Pixel Watch or even your Wear OS watch from Samsung, wherever it happens to be, but we want to know your preferred styles. Let us know what you're rocking on your wearable down in the comment sections below, and leave a link as well. I'd love to check some out for myself. But until next time, hopefully you enjoyed this little rundown. You'll find download links to everything mentioned in the video description below with their prices as listed. But until next time, this is Damien with 9to5 Google saying thanks for watching, and I will speak to you later.